potentially Ringo again and not give I'm the Doom that CP Ringo because he plays it really well. Because Vox is actually decent into weapon Idris. CP Idris, I would say late game, the CP Idris will probably win that matchup. So let's see if Mouseport is going to play a range carry into a Vox here because melee is not that strong into a Vox.
Yeah, we researched the CP Ringo a little bit, didn't we?
Shout out to Sneaky for hooking us up with some information. It was apparently I'm the Doom has been playing a lot of that CP Ringo in the ranked games, and so that kind of explained why it was banned away in the previous game, but this time
we were scratching our heads a little bit with that.
I really like
to get it through if they want to try and run it though.
Yeah, I really like this ban because Kestrel being banned, again, you don't have a healer against a Kestrel. Grace can keep her alive, can CC and can keep heroes off Kestrel. So Kestrel ban is really, really smart from SK because if they don't have a healer that can counter Kestrel's burst damage, then they should just take it away. So really good pick here.
Yeah, the Batiste coming through here, the standard flex pick. I feel like this is the pick that you see Batiste on B-side so often these days because it can go in the jungle, it can go in the captain role, and it's so flexible. We are going to see Idris.
Oh, that CP Ringo does come out. So now they should pick Arden. Arden counters the CP Ringo or Adagio. You need a healer or someone that can give a barrier because if they pick Lance or something that's not good against the CP Ringo and you have Grace that can just sustain them, they need to make the right pick here in draft to counter the CP Ringo burst because he's going to build like literally 2 or 3 Shatter Glasses based on what we've seen in the VG Pro stats and Echo on top of that.
And even a Finn could potentially work to provide that little bit of fortified health to make the burst not as effective. Just anything that can help deal with burst is absolutely crucial for the side of SK. But you know they banned away the Ringo last game, so they had to know about this composition. And so you assume that they'll have something in mind to go against it.
Yeah, if they decide to ban it.
Grumpjaw. And looks like they're probably looking for double burst.
I guess Ringo can't ultimate if he's inside Grumpjaw's stomach.
I mean, he doesn't. That's one way of thinking about it.
If you look at the matches, for I'm the Doom on this Ringo, he doesn't build reflex block, so it's purely crystal. And so there is an opportunity for this Grumpjaw to disrupt the Hellfire Brews.
Yeah, so they want to CC someone with Batiste captain, Grumpjaw eat them, and make a lot of plays and burst someone down. Or they can eat Grace, because Grace has to dive in. And finally, they counter CP Ringo if they build an Aegis and a Slumbering Husk. That would completely counter his burst.
So it's everything we're looking at in this game is going to be Ringo-based, I assume. Like how well this CP Ringo works is going to define how well the game goes. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I've never been a huge fan of the CP Ringo because it's so much based on the ultimates. And if you just go Aegis, Slumbering Husk, you let the first ultimate hit you, that pops the Slumbering Husk, you take almost no damage from the burst, and then you use an Aegis on the second one to prevent all of the damage and the burn. It's really strong against the Ringo.
All right,
we'll counter.
See. Yeah, we'll see whether they can counter it coming on into this game. We're heading into the second game between SK Gaming and Mousesports. Now, SK Gaming are 1-0 up. Let us know whether you want Mousesports to push this to a 3-game series or if you want SK to run away with things. Hashtag Vainglory on Twitter. But it's time to jump in to game number 2.
Man, this is pretty exciting stuff. SK predicted the CP Ringo in game 1, but decided in game 2 they were going to allow for it to be a possibility, and I'm the Doom snatched it up immediately. This is what they've been running. Idris and CP Ringo as a combination for Mouse. We'll have to see how effective it is in game 2.
Honestly, I can see it being very effective, especially paired with the Grace. There's just such a disruptive front line on the side of Mouse that it's not so difficult to keep your back line in the Ringo quite safe while he just channels his ult. You know, I think that is a very reasonable thing to have an expectation of here. It's going to be about SK being, a very disruptive game, which could be kind of challenging. We'll see if they can make it happen.
Yeah, and this Grumpjaw last pick is very interesting for Tyros. We know this guy is a monster at Grumpjaw, can provide a lot of CC threat with his ultimate, but also his living armor stacks provide 6% damage reduction AJ. So if he has 5 living armor stacks, then it's 30% damage reduction, which I guess is actually a fairly effective amount against a huge ultimate like the Ringo.
We were just talking about that before the game. The question I have is whether the tanks just like wipe through it super quickly as well and make it so that you're kind of allowing Apple to dive in and capitalize on this weapon Grumpjaw, who has no stacks because you already take them all off and set him burning. So, yeah, we'll see. It's definitely an interesting interaction that I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
So the thing about the living armor, if I remember correctly, it's actually he loses 1 stack per second whilst taking damage. So the initial ultimate, right? The initial ultimate will make it lose, and then the burn afterwards will make it lose, and unless multiple targets are attacking. We are having a fight, perhaps, in the jungle. Raph and Tyra's going forward. That's a good stun. Justman's in trouble, holding over to try and get away here. Got that Benediction shield as well. The Tyra's is going forth. Apfel gonna chuck a chakram out. Kavalavar's here as well. It's a whole big brawl in the jungle, but one where everyone's just gonna walk away.
Yeah, no one actually able to get taken out there. I like SK going aggressive, though. I think they've got the option to do that this game with Grumpjaw's insane early game damage. Raph is obviously on Batiste, who's great in the early game, too. I do think, though, that Justman, that Grace, can be obviously very effective in the early game. You got to be careful about walking to a Holy Nova. SK were very grouped up for a lot of those fights. It's something they maybe need to keep their eye on as they're positioning later on down the line here. Raph, I think, would be well suited, though, spending a decent amount of time in lane, letting the Grumpjaw just hyper farm in the jungle, and then hit 6 and go aggressive in the lane with some ganks. I also think that could be pretty effective.
Very intrigued to see how SK decide to build the Grumpjaw. It will clearly be a tension bow first item, but are they going to go double weapon power or opt in for utility based on hit? That's some big damage though, nonetheless. Tyra's coming in and showing up for a bit of love. I'm the Dooms here as well, but the CP Ringo not really going to be too effective at the early stages of the game, especially considering I'm the Doom has just a weapon blade and a crystal bit to his name. Raph maybe a little bit caught out here. Doesn't look like
Apfel?
Mouse are going to chase in.
Close.
Apfel, yeah, dancing under the turret. The resonance bounce is almost doing a bit of work. This Justman's going to come in, try and provide some damage. Grouping up here, Tyra's is going to come into the lane. Oh god, the damage! Oh god, the kill! That's just simple. Valafar comes in and nicks that one away, and SK have first blood.
Yeah, I am a little bit worried for Mouse against Tyrus' Grumpjaw just because it's Tyrus' Grumpjaw. He is really good at capitalizing on moments like this, and look at this, immediately into the enemy jungle, getting that counter-jungling farm down. If you can slow I'm the Doom up, this is not a cheap build. Like, obviously, there's one thing which is really great about having the Crystal Ring in the jungle, which is that you are going to be getting your levels quite quickly, and that's obviously awesome because you need levels on a Crystal Ringo. But the issue is that it is still a gold-reliant build. Like, you need a Shatterglass, probably going to need another Shatterglass, and you need, in addition to that, the Echo, right? So if your jungle gets strangled out early, you're of pretty limited efficacy later on as a result. So, you know, just picking the Grumpjaw for the aggression it provides might even be enough. You know, we'll see what happens.
Use the power of the internet to see how Doom likes to build this. So it's usually a Shadow Glass into Echo, and then 2 Shadow Glasses after that. So very interesting to see that. And this is something that he's kind of just been pioneering as of late. Huge damage from Tyra is just putting the pressure on. Even builds a Frostburn as his last item. He's played this against so many different teams in the last 24 hours. In 3-man queue with the guys over at Mouse, and some of it's been successful, some of it hasn't, but clearly Mouse think it's enough of a spanner that they can use it to try and upset SK.
Yeah, I think that it's a cool idea, and I see how the comp could work, but I think SK's drafted brilliantly against it. Also, the Fear is going to be great at creating space against the disruptive front line that Mouse has to buy time for Tyrus to go into the back line and threaten this Ringo. Also, if they just Crucible the Hellfire Brew, at least in the mid-game before there's an Echo, they can probably just turn on to Apfel and kill him. And I think with Grumpjaw, they have enough damage to get through Apfel before the Grace Heal comes in.
Yeah, so my assumption is that the idea from Mouse's Tyra is perhaps a little bit too far forward. In fact, he's going to go down here. Doom should be able to get him. No, never mind. The Hail from the Fountain keeps him alive. looked for sure like he was gone. I guess the idea from Mouse is that you have Apfel just threatening from so close up with the Grace. He play with Lance as well, so essentially a diving captain. In fact, they play with anything that Justman wants to. But always with the Idris. And so the Idris must be just that key component, that he's the threat that allows Doom to do the damage from range. Either way, Cavalifar in a little bit of trouble. His Apfel's going deep. The Chakram not quite finding work. Oh, that's a beautiful fearsome shade. Apfel going to take turret damage, and Raph just going to reap the rewards here. He completely outplayed Apfel.
Yeah,
Doom?
that was...
Oh, okay.
Okay. Just Grumpjaw things.
Just CP Ringo things.
I don't know about that. I think that's a little unfair. We've not seen it pan yet.
That was cute by Justman. He actually holding over the stuff there. So more of an output, a misplay by Tyros to use that whilst this holding over was winding up. Yeah, you are right. I perhaps a little bit unfair, considering the fact that Doom's just finished his first Shadow Glass out of the 3 that he's likely to build in this game. Echo going to be coming up next, which is not a too much of an investment for a jungler to buy here. It's fairly cheap, but obviously only the battery is what you get from that, so it's not going to provide any damage output or advantage until the Echo's finally built.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Right now, SK is doing a great job of pressuring Mouse as well, which is really not creating a lot of space for I'm the Doom to get the items he needs. I like I'm the Doom's positioning, though. He's kind of on the flank in the jungle. Maybe he can find a Hellfire Brew. It is off cooldown. That's the kind of thing which could definitely bring the game back for Mouse. They're at a pretty significant deficit, considering how early it is right now. Here it comes.
Here it comes straight on into Cavalifar. Cavalifar is going to struggle. Oh no, never mind. It's another fearsome shade, and Raph with another kill. Justman will go down as well. SK are just destroying Mouse in this early game, and this time it will be a turret going their way. Looked so good for half a second, but man, Raph has just been so on point with this Batiste.
Grace's visual effects are so trolly sometimes. When you ultimate an Idris inside of someone else, it looks like you're healing the opponents. So for a second, my brain just automatically went, oh, Cavalifar's fine. He's about to get Divine Intervention. No, that was on Apple.
I'm glad it wasn't just me.
But I mean, we've talked about Idris and Grace and their synergy before. That's actually one of the reasons why, not specifically the trolly visuals, but the ability to heal someone who is invulnerable for a short time. Looking at that last fight, though, this is kind of the issue I always see with Crystal Ringo, especially in the early to mid game. A reflex block pretty much just shuts you out of the game. And on top of that, you're super vulnerable. And past your Hellfire Brew, you don't do much, especially with this old-fashioned build, right? More modern Crystal Ringo builds have typically been alternating current first, and you do respectable damage in basic attacks, but you're slower to get off the mark with your big burst.
Holding over will block up. Tyro's jumping in here. Yeah, I'm just doing some stat research on games that they've won with the CP Ringo and games that they've lost, and if the Echo's not finished by 12 minutes, they lose. With the CP
That makes
Ringo.
perfect sense.
That's something to watch out for.
That's brutal. That fear just canceled an ultimate that would have hit all stacked members of SK with no reflex blocks, except for oh, actually no, they just got him back. Okay, so yeah, that would have been pretty nasty, probably, but yeah, great fearsome shade just cancels it out. That's actually another thing about SK's comp that I really like in reaction to what Mouse brought to the table. Picking up a Batiste is great because fearsome shade, I think Suijo is saying it has like range 16. For context, the Spitfire's range 9. So you're able to hit the Ringo during Hellfire Brew with that ability more easily than anything else. Bare minimum, you probably burn the reflex block. And if you do that, well, suddenly Tyrus is able to be very threatening. Maybe the silence lands from Cavalifar. It's very easy for SK to disrupt Mouse's plan. And for that reason, I think picking this comp was so risky. You could have picked Idris and Grace on B side and last picked Ringo against a lot of comps, and it would have felt really good, and you wouldn't have minded picking Idris and Grace. But on A side, it's very telegraphed what you're trying to do, especially when you're literally just looking up like what build he goes. We know they play this. So it's not hard for SK to plan a comp that really does counter most of the elements that Mouse bring to the table. I think they've done that very successfully. So long as they don't fall, radically far behind in the mid game.
Be very interested to see when I'm the Doom actually gets his second Shatterglass online as well. Very hefty purchase, the Shatterglass. Most expensive item I think you can buy as far as the crystal builds are concerned. I'm the Doom is being choked of his gold income. SK, this is typically what you do, AJ, when you're this far ahead, is you go into the enemy jungle and you take away their jungle. You push them up to the choke point turret so they don't have access to it. But this is even more important for SK to do, because if they're able to take away this gold income from Doom and really prevent him getting the Shatterglass before, 16, 17 minutes, then actually the damage output I'm the Doom has is going to be nowhere near where he wants it to be.
It is worth noting, though, that I'm the Doom managed to hit his 12-minute echo. So he has the tools that he usually needs, based on your research, to win this game. I'm not sure it's going to be enough still, but we'll see. He doesn't have any defensive itemization, and that's a big fear for me, because if SK can just get on top of him, he is going to evaporate.
Yeah, I'm struggling. Just stat research wise, I'm struggling to see how Mouse feel this is the comp that wins them games. But here we go. It is going to be Hellfire Brew onto Kvalifar. A second one's coming through. I think Kvalifar's dead. Maybe that's how it happens. Kvalifar will melt, and that is him gone. Never mind. I'm seeing it because the reason I said this, AJ, is because I'm looking at damage output, and Doom's damage output in games they win is like half of that of Apfel's in most cases. But if he's putting the Hellfire Brew onto the target Apfel's going on, and Apfel's getting that kill every single time, then actually it makes sense. Now you're in a 2 versus 3, and Apfel he thrives in a 2 versus 3 as an Idris. It doesn't matter that you don't have Doom outputting any more damage. Justman, though, will go down. Overstay there. Crucible wasn't ready to go. They won't be able to get a turret for their work.
As insane as that was, I can't help but think that once there's Crucible on Wrath, that can't happen. Like, Kvalifar had so much time before things went wrong. So just having the Crucible on Wrath, I think, probably keeps him safe. I will say that your point about damage is interesting. Cool. Surprised I didn't commit a bit, actually. The point about damage is interesting because ultimately, it probably doesn't matter very much if Apfel is not doing a lot of damage, so long as every time he's doing damage, it gets a kill. And that's something that will happen with the Hellfire Brews, There's a lot of sustain in Vainglory through things like Poison Shivs and, the perk on Batiste, etc. So there's plenty of ways that if you just deal incidental or gradual damage, you're dealt with. But the burst coming out of I'm the Doom, if he actually connects with both Hellfires, is going to kill someone 90% of the time.
Certainly seems to be that way. We are seeing another fight break out in the jungle. Apfel going to use that Shroud Step to try and get some distance. He doesn't have his Shimmer Strike, and he is just going in. Fountain comes through, but can they keep him alive is the question. I'm the Doom trying to put the pressure onto Kvalifar, but that's going to be a knockback with the Fear. That's going to be a kill going over. Kvalifar will be traded, but Apfel goes down as well. And now we do have SK with a Kraken spawning, looking to take the beast and secure themselves a push into the base of Mouse.
I think it's very likely they can take this Kraken. Justman might try and stop them. He gets there in time. And Grace does have a lot of burst damage, Dalsy. It's possible. It is possible, but Tyrus has burst too.
Yeah. Also Ordained and Stuffed, if it was up, it just makes it difficult, I guess, for Justman to really go in and at least escape with his life. He is going fourth. There's the Ordained going down. Holy Nova stuns, but it is easily secured by Tyrus, and now can he escape? Good side step. Here comes I'm the Doom. They're going to try and fight right now as Apfel goes in. I'm the Doom's running from Kvalifar. Apfel, though, on the back, doing a bit of work, is going to struggle to escape. Blocks up that Ordained. In fact, will just go down immediately. That will be Mouse without their main man to try and deal with this Kraken for the next 25 seconds, trying to defend their base.
That was closer than it should have been. I mean, Kvalifar really committed onto I'm the Doom. Took a lot of damage from Apfel in the process. Justman, of course, Divine Intervention, doing some serious work to get the fight even close to that point, but still SK massively ahead off the back of this Kraken push. Only 2 turrets left and a full health Kraken. This is pretty scary if you're Mousesports.
Yeah, and Mouse haven't got this second Shadow Glass onto I'm the Doom. It's not going to be coming for a little bit here. And this is just so much damage that could be outputted. Great knockback with the Fear, and that's going to knock back I'm the Doom more. Kavalifar is going to be able to survive, and all this time, Tyrus and the Kraken are taking the base. SK are looking to finish it right now as they go in. They stuff up the Captain Justman, but they've done the work. They've done enough, and that is going to be game 2 going over to SK. They take the series pretty convincingly, and unfortunately for Mouse, they couldn't make the CP Ringo work.
Yeah, that was really strong stuff from SK. I think they played around the comp that we saw offered by Mousesports very effectively. So it was kind of creative and interesting, but that's not always going to do it.
Wow, it's definitely interesting. Perhaps back to the drawing board. Either way, SK in the finals of this second week of Split 2. Let's see what the desk had to say about that.